How's it going, everybody? It's the Download Fox News, my channel where I talk about anime, video games, cartoons, most notably Sonic and Ninja Turtles. And today I'm here to talk about Sonic, and as you can see by the title of the video, also Matt Walsh. Because Matt Walsh basically did a review, so let me explain it right quick. So, a few weeks ago, Matt Walsh, a conservative content creator from the Daily Wire, had did a review about Sonic 3 and why he didn't like it. And while he's entitled to his opinion, his very subjective opinion, his criticism about the movie and the generalization about the audience was pretty garbage in my opinion. So I'm about to talk about and go over some of these takes that he has and explain why his review is pretty terrible and stuff. So yeah. I would have probably done this video a lot sooner. I know I'm a little bit late, just like my review, but I didn't want to make this my first video of the New Year's and all that stuff, and I kind of wanted to do the Sonic 3 movie review first before I put this one out. But since now that's out, I'm going to go over this and stuff and go over Matt Walsh's points one by one. All right? So let's get right into it.
Now, before I offer my brief review of this thing that I hesitate to call a film, I must first acknowledge, in all fairness, I never saw Sonic the Hedgehog 1 or Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's possible that one cannot fully appreciate the narrative complexities of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 without having seen the first two chapters in this epic Hedgehog saga. Maybe the other two movies are works of staggering artistic genius that would elevate the third installment and lend it the sort of context necessary for me to have appreciated it and enjoyed it instead of feeling like I was being waterboarded with high fructose corn syrup the whole time. But I doubt it. I mean, this is the kind of movie where Jim Carrey plays two characters. One is the evil villain and the other is the evil villain's evil grandfather in old age makeup. And the two break into an impromptu dance routine that makes no narrative sense but lasts approximately 87 minutes. It's the kind of movie where those same characters before the dance routine actually look directly into the camera and explain that they're being played by the same actor.
So now we can just dance right through. That sounds like a challenge.
I'm not going to bother explaining the plot of this film in any detail. I wasn't tracking it that closely, to be honest. I was mostly fighting to stay.
Now, I will say this, since everyone was kind of getting on him for this, he doesn't have to watch the other two movies just to review this one. But if you were going to, just review the entire trilogy, or you needed, more context, then I kind of recommend you should just, you should definitely watch the other movies in that case. But one of his first problems is the meta humor and the victory dance that the Robotniks do, claiming the dance makes no narrative sense when it's not supposed to. It's just meant for dumb fun and breaking the fourth wall. He also says that he doesn't understand the plot since he wasn't paying attention during the movie, which you got to ask yourself, why are you reviewing the movie then? I understand if you don't like it and all, and just be like, I just took my kids out to just see Sonic 3 and all that, I didn't really feel it, but yeah, they probably liked it, I guess, but okay. Or if he wanted to really understand the plot, or he missed something, he could have just gone on Wikipedia or something before making this actual review and kind of making himself look pretty ignorant. Now, that's pretty much all I got to say there.
I can only tell you that Sonic is the good hedgehog, which you may know. There's also an evil hedgehog voiced by Keanu Reeves, who, and I like Keanu Reeves, by the way, but like every other voice actor in this film and most voice actors in most children's films that have been made for the past 20 years, he has no talent as a voice actor and doesn't understand how to act with just your voice.
My grandfather says it can take hundreds of years for the light of a star to reach Earth. And by the time we see it, the star might not even exist anymore. Isn't that crazy?
A light shines, even though the star is gone.
Yeah, it does. I wonder which one you came from, Shadow.
I don't know. I don't know anything about my home.
This is your home, Shadow. Earth.
think I'm dangerous.
What are you talking about?
The way the scientists look at me, I can tell they're afraid. Like I'm the horrible thing from that movie we watched. I don't know what I am.
You're my friend. And you can do or be anything you want. Not because of your powers, but because of who you are in here.
I don't know what I'd do without you.
Alright, so one of the major things that I take issue with this review, and you can probably guess what that is, and it's basically his comments about voice acting, which is kind of bad enough that voice actors don't get a lot of credit, but calling these people talentless kind of just annoys me, because voice acting is definitely centered around animation, like how characters emote and how they're animated and stuff. So I don't really appreciate that too much and stuff about him just dunking on voice acting and stuff and saying, oh, well, you can't bring out feeling in your voice and stuff. That's not possible, even though it's very possible. I mean, we've seen, like, if you watch cartoons, play video games, watch anime, whatever, anything that involves voice acting, yeah, it can work.
You know why I named you Shadow? Because without light, there's only darkness. But a shadow will show you where to find the light. Do you understand? I don't want you to be driven by darkness. I want you to be happy. Stand in the light with peace in your heart.
Fight with your wish in my heart. Your wish for everyone to have a chance to be happy.
So Sonic has to stop the evil hedgehog and his evil cohorts, that's the Jim Carrey dancing duo I mentioned earlier, from blowing up the world with a big laser. And, you know, this has been the evil plan of every evil villain in every blockbuster franchise film for the past 3 decades. It's a formula that this movie is not interested in deviating from. This is not the sort of movie that deviates from formulas. Now, if you're wondering why the evil hedgehog and the 2 Jim Carreys want to explode the world and murder 8 billion people in a cosmic blast that they will also die in, it's because the older Jim Carrey's granddaughter, I think, was killed, and now he wants to commit murder-suicide because life isn't worth living. Like, that's real. That's in the movie. He actually declares his suicidal intention as well. Now, if that seems like weirdly bleak and dark for a kid's movie where the characters bust out impromptu dance routines and randomly break the fourth wall and constantly speak in internet lingo from 2019, there's a lot of that, by the way. Just as one example, at one point, Jim Carrey says, "Damn you, autocorrect."
So it seems like he doesn't exactly grasp that Sonic 3 is readapting Sonic Adventures 2, which is kind of made over 24 years ago, hence why the whole 30-year or whatever he was talking about with the whole planet-destroying laser thing, and that Professor Gerald was driven insane by his granddaughter's death, that he's pretty much given up on humanity, hence why he's condemning it to destruction. Yeah, he doesn't care if he gets killed in the process or whatever, his grandson or whatever. No, Professor Gerald, like after his granddaughter's death, that was his breaking point. That's what made him crazy and come up with the plan of trying to destroy Earth and stuff after that, pretty much, So that's the whole thing right there, And then also, I don't understand the whole, like, oh, well, they're using lingo from 2019. I'm like, you do realize that wasn't that long ago, right? That was like 6 years ago, like 2019. Like, yeah, that wasn't, like, it's not like, oh my God, that was like 2000s or something, or the 90s or the 80s. I'm like, no, that was like 6 years ago, like 2019. That's still in like almost the 2020s, but okay, cool.
Because this movie, again, like so many kids' movies these days, is not the fulfillment of anyone's creative vision. It is just the product of a corporate algorithm. It is loud and ugly and obnoxious and disjointed because nobody who made the film actually cared about making a good film. And they have absolutely no respect for their audience.
He parrots how the movie is corporate and doesn't care about its own audience, which he wouldn't really know because they kind of included many homages to anyone that actually plays the games or read the comics heavily, you know? So, like, I mean, it's not like they didn't put, like, a lot of the Crush 40 music and stuff by, like, Crush 40, like Johnny Golly and June Senoway and stuff, you know, the singer and the guitarist of Crush 40 and all that. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, I mean, I'm not them, but obviously I'm pretty sure, like, if I were them, or if, like, I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, man, they must be really happy. They're in their 50s and stuff currently, but they must be really happy and stuff to, like, probably see their names on, like, the big screen and stuff, and never imagine that, like, you know, like, I never thought that my own stuff would actually make it into the theaters, and I get to see my name and all my work actually portrayed on the big screen and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Or, yeah, because, you know, a lot of people love that type of stuff, or a lot of the stuff with Sonic and all that stuff, you know what I mean? That's why it's on its third movie, you know, because people love these movies so much. So what do you mean that these movies don't have respect for its own audience? I'm just saying. But again, Matt Walsh don't play video games or don't really care at all about this stuff, so what do I know?
Now, you might respond here, as many people on Twitter did after I gave a very brief review of this film in a tweet on the site a few days ago. You might respond that, well, this movie isn't for me. It's for kids. Well, first of all, tell that to the other people in the theater with us. I could tell you that my kids were by far the youngest people in attendance. There were multiple groups of adults, just adults, no kids, whole groups of them who bought tickets to Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Also, tell it to the multiple grown adults who got angry at me on Twitter for not liking the movie. The funny thing is that a lot of those same people say, well, it's not for you, it's for kids. Why are you getting so upset about it then? Why are you tearfully defending a movie that you claim is not for you either?
Then he says that his kids were the youngest attendants in the theater since it's also made for the fans too. Which, I mean, I got a little bit of a story real quick. When I first saw Sonic 1, like, 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah, about 5 years ago. It was back in, like, February. I remember, like, that the whole, the theater was packed when I was in there. You know, it was packed, whether it be kids, fans, whatever. They all showed up, still put in the money to go see that movie, okay? I'm just saying. But anyways, so basically he becomes a Kids Next Door villain by basically saying that kids' movies should be made for adults to enjoy too, which kind of comes across as narcissistic because he doesn't actually at all mention like how his 5 or his 8-year-old that wanted to go see the movie in the first place, like, what do they think about it? Like, did they think it was cool? Did they like it? No, it's all about me, and all that stuff. It wasn't made for me, so therefore it's trash, you know? And then he kind of brings up how he resonates more with the Iron Giant movie, which, don't get me wrong, that is a very good movie, but it's just like, okay, but what does that got to do with Sonic 3, though? So I'm just like, so you weren't moved by, like, stuff like Tom and Sonic's family moments or Sonic grieving him after he almost died? For someone who kind of preaches a lot about the nuclear family so much, I just can't really see how you just didn't resonate with Sonic's makeshift family. But this is Matt Walsh that we're talking about, after all, the same guy who kind of says anime was demonic and not for adults. So, yeah.
It is possible to make a children's movie that, although it's for children, is still a good, high-quality piece of art. I don't hate children's movies just because they're for children. Quite the opposite. As a father of 6, I've watched many, many children's movies, okay? I've watched way more than the average person because I have so many kids. And I greatly appreciate the good ones. A few nights ago, just as an example, we watched the movie Iron Giant with my kids, and that's an animated children's film. It's also well-written, beautifully illustrated, brilliantly performed, tonally consistent. It's funny and heartwarming, and at points it's sad, but it works all of that in a way that feels natural to the story. It's a children's film, and it's also a great film, one that I can watch and also enjoy. Because as it turns out, children's movies are not just for children. They're for parents too. Or at least they should be. Okay, if a kid's movie or kid's show is so grating and so dumb and so unpleasant that parents can't stand to be in the same room while it's on, that doesn't mean it's for kids. It isn't for kids. It isn't for anyone. It's just bad. And the fact that people say, well, of course it's bad, it's for kids, tells you everything you need to know about our culture. They act like it's ridiculous to expect the content produced for kids to be high quality or to have any artistic merit whatsoever. But I tend to think exactly the opposite. I think content produced for kids should especially be high quality and should especially have artistic merit, which is why I hated Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
This guy really does not know how to unwind or have fun. I mean, hell, he loves having fun by playing Monopoly. Monopoly is like honestly like one of the most boringest board games out there, right? Emphasis on board. Now, while I do kind of agree on some of his takes when it comes to the culture war and stuff, I don't really appreciate someone kind of coming into my outlets and just shaming me for being a grown-ass man for liking the things I like and stuff. You know, I mean, currently Melanie Mack is getting a lot of ramifications for trying to condemn a certain faction of her audience and stuff for liking certain things and stuff like that, you know. So, you know, I'm a huge Sonic fan and stuff, you know. Of course, you know, and I've talked about Matt Walsh before. Like I said, I was like, yeah, Matt Walsh is okay, I guess. I mean, he's a little kind of stoic, a little sarcastic sometimes, which I kind of find it a little bit, you know, funny sometimes. But if I had a choice choosing between, you know, Sonic or Matt Walsh, obviously, you know, I'm Team Sonic all day. So, yeah. So you knew where I was going to stand here. But anyways, that's all I have to say here about Matt Walsh and his review and stuff. It's pretty bad, obviously, and he's definitely getting a lot of backlash. Hell, even his own audience is like, what? Like, they're like, I'm right-wing, I'm conservative, and even I'm just like, what the fuck is he even talking about with Sonic and stuff, you know what I mean? So that video is pretty much disliked and all that stuff a lot. He should have just left it alone and stuff and not done a review if he wasn't like, you know, if he was not that prepared. But hey, it is what it is. But anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say here for today. And by the way, Matt Walsh, you are, in fact, canceled.